This is Trucks and Tractor Power, featuring the best in MTRA monster truck racing. Today, it's the Summer Four-Wheel Jamboree Nationals from the Bloomsburg Fairgrounds in Bloomsburg, PA. Bloomsburg is one of our favorite shows to come to. It's beautiful country here at the foot of the Pocono Mountains. But the Bloomsburg Fairground has quite a history of putting the bite on drivers. It was just a few years ago we saw Scott Stevens in the unfortunately and appropriately named King Crunch. Scott, in the far lane, racing Fred SHAFER, completes the course, but gets into trouble in the shutdown area. And proof that history repeats itself, this year, during the first qualifying session, Dan Patrick in Sampson, again in that left lane, hits the second set of cars crooked and high sides, landing with tremendous impact. Well, you can see the safety equipment really held up, and Dan was okay, but rollovers by a monster truck are such a scary thing because, remember, that's 10,000 pounds rolling over on itself. But Dan has been around this sport for a long time. He's built chassis for Bigfoot and other competitors, and all that experience really paid off here, keeping Dan from serious injury. Dan got checked out by the EMTs, who were right there on the spot along with the rest of the safety personnel, and afterwards Dan explained the incident to us.
The trucks before me have been getting a little bit crossed up, but G and I discussed it and thought, well, I'll stay in the throttle. We should bring it back around. After watching a replay on it, it hooked when it landed. They added some dirt this year, and when the back end bounced, and I don't say I overcorrected it. After, like I say, watching the replay, it just happened. There's just nothing I could do about it. So I feel good that it wasn't driver error, and I feel good that the truck did what it's supposed to do. I've always wanted to build these trucks to protect the driver. It did its job, so that's the best I can hope for. It was a pretty soft roll. I mean, it looked violent, but I didn't take any really what I consider hard hits. The thing kind of flipped, but I didn't have any really solid jolts. I mean, it hurt more last year when I landed flat than it did with all this. The truck really looks bad visually-wise. And it is pretty well tore out. I mean, it's not something I can fix and come back. So it's just one of them things where I'll try to get back together for Canfield.
That incident's not the only thing causing a little gloom over the drivers. Weather is also an issue. Army?
After one lap of competition at Bloomsburg, one of the major questions has been answered. That question the drivers had in the back of their mind was, what's the shutdown area going to be like? Well, these behemoth monster trucks with 10,000 pounds of weight and 1,500 horsepower at about 65 or 70 mile an hour flying through the air know they can indeed shut them down safely at Bloomsburg. Remember, the infamous shutdown area at Bloomsburg is taking a bite out of a lot of people. Today, the drivers don't believe that's going to happen. They're going to try to get a piece of the old girl themselves.
Well, but in qualifying, a bite was taken out of the racing budget of Alan PEZO. As he blows an engine, you'll see the smoke here in a moment, and also joined Dan Patrick back in the trailer.
As a matter of fact, when the engine let go, the shock absorber blew in the right rear, a fuel line let go. It's just a bad run.
A new face joining us for this race, that's Calvin Carrington in the Undertaker. Now, keep an eye out for the big bounce that he takes in qualifying.
That's because it's a sprung truck. It doesn't have the high-tech shock absorbers the other trucks do, Tom.
Well, he would be eliminated in round one by Bigfoot. Also in round one, PAM VATERS in the Boogie Van taking on Mark Hall in the Executioner. Now, Hall's going to take the win, but PAM VATERS comes back as the fast loser.
Pam had the misfortune of drawing the Hall brothers Executioner after they just found a performance curve they've been looking for a couple of years. However, a 5:59 will bring her back, Tom, as a quick loser.
Monster Patrol in the far lane you're going to see is taking on a truck last seen at the RCA Dome. That's the Dungeon of Doom, and the new driver is Sky Hartley. But it's Paul SHAFER taking the win with a 5.24. Dungeon of Doom is going to come back as the fast loser of that heat. So let's take a look at how we look heading into round two. You have Bigfoot, Dungeon of Doom, Barefoot and the Executioner, Monster Patrol and Rampage, and the HULKSTER and Boogie Van, all coming back for round two competition. PAM VATERS, of course, getting ready for round two, suiting up, and we'll be back. Welcome back to the Bloomsburg Fairgrounds in Bloomsburg, Pennsylvania, where Ford Trucks presents the Summer Four-Wheel Jamboree Nationals. Nice-looking crowd today.
Yeah, everybody enjoys coming to Bloomsburg. It's kind of a happening. Speaking of a happening, man, so many times before, Dan Runte and Bigfoot teaming up with Firestone and Ford to set a quick qualifying time of a 5:08. That should give him lane choice for a lifetime to run that quick. He's out of St. Louis, Missouri. He'll be going up against a truck in the other lane. It goes by the name of the Dungeon of Doom. The last time we saw this vehicle, indeed, was indoors in the RCA Dome. The bodies in these vehicles are rather unique. They're designed by a guy out of Winsville, Missouri by the name of George Link. This truck will be driven by Sky Hartley. I tell you what, the motor located in the front shouldn't slow this truck down. He's shown he can run as we get ready for next round racing.
Boy, you know, you would think that Dan Runte would have easily put away that competitor, but that was almost an upset.
No, he ran him strong. Now, keep in mind, we might be setting a precedent here. 5:16 was the winning time. The replay is going to come up. The question is, what's your left front wheel? It's his right. Does it hit the second set of jump cars? That's the question. It should. If it doesn't, there should be a disqualification. We're going to have to wait and see what the call is on that. Quick qualifying time, he took that right lane. That may be the story of the rest of the day, Tom.
The right lane. Well, let's roll on to the next race. In round 2, here's Fred Schaefer in barefoot in the near lane. Fred's still looking for that first win of the season. And remember, he had that big wheelie in no man's land in Springfield, so he's still working on the wheelie situation.
Yeah, where he's getting his wheelies is not through the horsepower, the chassis he's making, and the transmission. He runs a Lenco transmission. He'll be going against the Hall brothers in the wedge-type Chevrolet engine. Mark Hall out of Champaign, Illinois, a heck of a great kid, a good driver. He and his brother Tim really finding a performance curve, so it's anybody's race right now. There's your wheelie.
Wow. Boy, that landing looked tough, too.
Yeah, okay. Right lane, a 5:07,
wow.
A good first-round time, but the transmission is tightening up on him and really powering it up in mid-range.
Let's take a look and see if we can determine why those wheels go up. See, you can see right here, the wheels are both up, and here they come down again, and then he's going to put them up again. Now watch the landing. This looks like a really tough landing. Let's see if we can find out why with Army talking to him.
Fred, the truck still seems to have a tendency to want a wheelie on you in no man's land.
Yeah, Army, we're still working on it with a different inconsistency in track from week to week. We're working on it.
It's not horsepower. It's got to be chassis, though.
I believe it's still, Army. I believe you're right.
Well, and moving on to more round 2 action, Paul Schaefer taking on Fred Schaefer's Dodge teammate Todd Freilich in Rampage.
Tom, keep in mind that Dodge just had lane choice in this round, as did the Bigfoot truck. Word we get was the Bigfoot truck was not disqualified. Todd Freilich comes out going into the same lane that was questionable for Bigfoot, questionable for his boss. Meanwhile, Schaefer, he goes over in the other lane. He's going to try to drive his own race.
You know, and Paul's not real loud about it, but he has quietly put together a very nice season.
He's a strong runner. Big time. Hey, the Chevrolet people got to be tickled to death right now, Tom Rivers.
You know, Army Armstrong, the Chevrolet people are happy, but I'll tell you what, that right lane has been tough on the Dodge trucks all day. Let's take a look at the big bounce that Freilich takes in the Dodge again here in just a moment.
It's almost like it throws him out of shape, Tom.
Here's that nose-over landing. Look at that. It just comes in hard and bounces him around there. Let's toss it to Army to check in with Paul Schaefer.
Paul, it seems like you guys with the Chevrolets have gotten together and really starting to get a handle on this thing. The trucks are really running good.
Well, we're picking up the pace a little bit. With the Hemi motors, it's hard for the Chevrolet to run with them, but we're getting there little by little.
The final race of round 2 is still ahead as Eric Meagher is going to square off with PAM VATERS when we return to Trucks and Tractor Power. Stay with us. Welcome back to the Bloomsburg Fairgrounds. Well, I'll tell you, a lot of country stars have played that stage, Army.
Yeah, the Bloomsburg Fair, I tell you, in Pennsylvania, talk about Southern hospitality all you want. These people are awfully good people to be around.
We're up to the final pair of round 2, Pam Vaters and Boogie Van taking on Eric Meagher in the HULKSTER.
Now, Vaters is coming back in here by being a quick loser in the previous round. Eric comes in. He took a win in the last round. He's running the new WCW-sponsored truck, the HULKSTER, and the kids are really loving both of these vehicles. Girls against the guys, if you will, Tom. No question about about that? Meagher put a whole shot on that young lady. That was where the win came from. A 5:28. Not the greatest ET, but he actually made it look good. As a matter of fact, that was one of the best-looking runs we've seen out of that right lane all day long.
So let's take a look at how the semifinals are going to match up. The classic battle, Bigfoot versus Barefoot.
Yeah, on the other side is going to be Monster Patrol against the HULKSTER.
Monster trucks, mud drags, you see it all here at Bloomsburg, but one of our favorite is the tough truck competition, where the guys really get out and give it all they got. DWAYNE TRESSLER in a 1971 thumbs up, 1971 Blazer. He came to play. Even though there are some sloppy conditions, take a look around the slop around the first turn because of the rain.
Talk about a vehicle with a little push in it. I think that tells you what a push is right there. He just completed the first turn. Now he's going to go back down the backstretch. There's some loop-de-loos there.
Doesn't seem to matter. Rain, mud, it doesn't dampen the spirited competition of tough trucks.
No. These are tough trucks. Bragging rights are what it's all about. But it all ends when they jump the final jump and hit the big tire. Wacko.
You know, the tough trucks always give us a great run, and you sure did.
I enjoy it. Well, the greatest thing I've ever done in my life. I love it.
I don't know that DWAYNE gets out much. Maybe there's not much to do in that town.
Who's the next guy coming out?
Well, WOJCIECHOWSKI is in his Free Willy vehicle with his motto, it's a Wagoneer thing you wouldn't understand.
What's the dorsal fin on top for?
Well,
Free Willy. I got you. Yeah.
Absolutely. Well, again, you can see some of the slop around turn one here, and it's, again, the vehicle's like pushing through there.
Yeah, the front end's definitely pushing. He does the first 180. Now he's going back up the backstretch. He'll hit the loop-de-loos. The dorsal fin seems to be hanging on pretty well. As a matter of fact, it looks like he's waving to the crowd. He'll come around. Whoa! Has to stop again. Trying to get lined up for the final jump to hit the old tire, but old Free Willy's having his tough time today.
Well, it's the spirit of the competition that matters in this regard. The guys get out there and give it all they got. Just like, there goes, whacking the big tire. But when you're talking tough trucks in Bloomsburg, Pennsylvania, you have to be talking about Jan KLECKNER. We have the T-shirt in Whale 3.
Jan is, if a man's got to be famous for something, Jan KLECKNER is the man that's famous for tough trucking. This guy will tap dance in a minefield just to warm up. I tell you what.
Can you see? It looks like he's done something to reinforce that front end.
Yeah, he has reinforced the front end.
Jan KLECKNER, a favorite at Bloomsburg. And Fred SHAFER rolling to the line for the semifinals, going up against Bigfoot. Army taking a look at the starting line.
Are you digging it? Well, the monster truck guys were, yeah, I know it's a play on words, but look what they've done on the starting line here. They've actually dug down about a foot. Now, this will affect the monster trucks and how they handle. For an example, the short wheelbase vehicles like the Fords, a short spot like this, depth doesn't really bother them. But the Dodges, in the area you're looking at right now, towards the back, what they've dug up in the front, they've actually made a hill in the back. Now, the Dodges being a longer wheelbase vehicle, when they leave the starting line, will not leave straight like the Fords or the short wheelbase vehicles will. They're on the back part of this hump we were talking about. They will leave in an attitude like this. So their first movement is not one of this direction. It's one like this. That's why I think the Dodgers are having trouble in no man's land. They're not going over the first jump with all four wheels planted. They're actually wheeling over the first jump. Dig it?
I do. I dig it, and so does Dan Runte in Bigfoot. He has yet to lose a round this season, Army.
Yeah, but today he goes into lane he does not want to be in. Lane choice goes to Fred SHAFER. Let's see what's going to happen. Remember, the Dodge is a little bit longer than the Ford. Watch the first motion. Straight or down and forward. That's what we got to wait and see. Exactly what I thought. I mean, Fred lands real hard on the right side. He tweaks a torque bar or something. Bigfoot, look at that, a 486, a good, strong run, quickest of the day.
Well,
Fred's got some problems there in the front suspension, I believe.
Definitely some damage there. Let's take a look at it again on the replay.
Now, what happens with the transmission and the long wheelbase? The truck is locked in right now. There's no shifting. It is locked. It's on full kill. So it has to react as such. And it's just not consistent. That is a good running monster truck. They just got to get it tweaked.
Well, he not only knocked the fender off, he did some other damage to that right side.
Now, Bigfoot on the other side, basically, he just made a squat move, went straight the other end. All four wheels are on the ground. Look, you see on the right, the front two wheels are off on the Dodge.
Well, let's see if Army can catch up with Fred SHAFER and find out what happened.
Fred, you knew you were going to have to put it on kill, but it looks like you really did some serious damage to the front suspension.
I'd like to thank Dodge Motorsports and Mopar Performance and Viper Auto Security. Army, I think is all we got to tweak sway bar there, landing on one side. I'll have it fixed in 5 minutes.
Well, he's got all day to fix it because he's out of the competition. It was more than a tweak there. See if Army can check with Dan Runte.
You knew Fred was going to run you hard.
Yeah, he had lane choice coming out there, too, and that makes a difference. I mean, we've been running the right lane. Freddie been running the right lane. Ford Bigfoot just pulled it out of there again. The Firestone tires are hooking up unbelievable for all the rain we got here. Like I said, great team. I just can't say enough about them. We're just going to keep going, and maybe we'll pull another one out of here.
Well, it's awfully polite of him to mention everybody, but don't discount the driver. Dan Runte's an excellent driver and is definitely part of the reason that Ford has so many victories. Next semi-final run, Paul Schaefer in Monster Patrol trying to make it to his first final of the season.
And he'll be going up against none other than Eric Meagher. He's driving the ballistic banana, if you will, the monster truck circuit. He's a hired gun out of the Bob Chandler operations driving the HULKSTER. Could be a race for anybody. Whole shot to the HULKSTER. He hangs on for the win, Tom.
Wow, that's just a good, clean, straight-ahead race.
Yeah, and I tell you what, a 512 is he didn't hurt the equipment, and the run, he doesn't look like he's beating and banging that truck. Everybody else coming out of the right lane is just getting shaken up terribly. If you watch the replay, he looks like he's out cruising.
Which is really the first smooth pass we've seen in that right lane today.
You're exactly right, but that gets back to him studying the lane and watching exactly how everything's going to react. That's a good smooth, you know, for such a thing. Best
landing I've seen on that right lane. Let's find out if we can figure out why Eric Meagher was able to do that. Army?
Eric, a 512, but the Chevrolet boys seem to be closing the gap on you Ford guys.
Well, they sure are, and along with the track conditions, I mean, we really got a lot against us here, a lot on our minds. Like I said, the only thing you can do is really concentrate and count on your equipment, and that's exactly what we're doing. Our equipment's doing the job for us.
Speaking of which, there's some equipment on the midway that would certainly fit the bill. Some beautiful trucks here at Bloomsburg. Stay with us because we've got the finals coming up next on Trucks and Tractor Power. Jamborees like the one here in Bloomsburg, Pennsylvania are all about four-wheelers pulling stuff through the mud. On our right, Rodent Racing from Syracuse, New York. In the tug-of-war, they're going to be facing the Massachusetts Misfits from Webster, Massachusetts. Let's let them get it on.
You know, tug-of-wars are really tough, Tom. Why don't you step in there and tell me who's winning right now?
I'm back here. I'm not stepping in there. You go up there and talk to those guys.
No, that's not my job. My job is just to watch you do your job. It's New York and Massachusetts. I think New York has got these guys on the ropes, if you will.
Oh, yeah. There they give it up. Yeah, it's definitely not good, clean American fun, but it's good fun.
Well, their mom's got to be proud of them.
The New Yorkers take it. Well, we're up to the final now. It's Dan Runte in Bigfoot taking on Eric Meagher in the HULKSTER. We'll see if Dan can do it again.
This is going to be a good run. Eric Meagher has been coming after Dan, coming after him. They're good friends. They run out of the same shop, the Bob Chandler Racing operation. The trucks are maintained out of the same operation, but they are completely different teams. So you're going to see some real racing. The track is good for both trucks. The wheelbase of the Ford are going to fit right in the starting groove. So you should see some good racing here. The guy that leaves the starting line quick is going to be the guy on the other end. What gets me, though, lane choice, Runte has chosen the left lane. He decided not to go to the right lane. That surprises me. Well, it worked for him, whatever he did.
Boy, it seemed like the right choice. There's Dan Runte.
Whoa, look at the number of 479. That is quick, Tom.
That is low ET of the meet, and it puts him, of course, at the top of the current standings of the PENDA point series. Bigfoot at 7,600. WCW HULKSTER trailing at 5,320. Barefoot, Rampage, and the Executioner all behind.